We're back with Steve from Blackstar, who's going to be walking us through the HT40 Mark II.
How you doing?
Not too bad. So tell us about the Mark II HT series.
Yeah, sure. So this is a brand new product for Blackstar, and what I mean by that is we had Mark I, which came out probably about 8 years ago now.
Yep.
And we haven't just done a facelift. We haven't sort of tweaked a little bit and then brought out a Mark II. We've actually took it right down to ground and built again. So we looked at a lot of forums, we did a lot of market research about what people loved about the previous range and what people wanted to see. So this is Mark II, it's very exciting. It's our sort of mid-priced tube offering. It starts at 40 watts. We've got 60 watt options, we've got 50 watt head options and 100 watt head options with cab options. But this is really one of the most popular tube combos we do globally. And what we decided to do was firstly make them a little more compact. So everything is a little tighter, and on the clean channel we've decided to put bass and treble on every clean channel. Previously there was a lot of the range that just had a single tone control, so it was a case of finding your sweet spot. But a lot of people were coming back to us saying it's great, but if I'm using a board with some pedals I need to fine tune that clean, so now you can get a lot more detail. The spectrum of tone for me on Mark I was sort of here, but we've really opened it up. So the warm clean, the full-bodied clean, has got loads more headroom, loads more chime, reminiscent of sort of a US sound. And then the boutique clean has got a bit more grit, a bit more clipping going on, which is reminiscent of anything from the 60s onwards if you're digging in. What we've also added is, if you don't already know the venue range, there was always a choice between the two clean voicings, okay? That was always a physical choice up until now. You can actually use your foot switch to change that over. So I can go from bright clean to warm clean just instantly, which is great. So let's take a listen to those two clean tones. Absolutely. I'm using this hand-built guitar from the UK, Gordon Smith. I'm going to go for single coil first. I can split the humbucker. Awesome. I'm just going to roll my tone back to incorporate a bit more of a neck feel. But let's go for clean voicing 1 first, which is warm clean. I use pretty heavy picks, so even when I'm digging in there's not a lot of breakup going on at all.
It's got a lot of headroom for sure.
And I'm pushing the preamp there to roughly about 2 o'clock. Whereas if I dial in the secondary voicing via the foot switch, the FS14, it's going to give me a bit more of a boutique vibe, you know. Back over to the warm clean. So instantly you got those two choices on stage, which is very different from Mark I.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If I go to Bucker, again, we're on warm clean. There's not a lot of breakup still, and typically when you go to a Bucker you're going to get more edge, more sustain. Yeah. But on boutique,
Nice, it's really nice.
Yeah. So onto overdrive 1. Now we get our full EQ, bass, middle treble, and Blackstar's infinite shape feature, the patent. Infinite shape feature really opens up a lot of tonal possibilities. And just to give people a more of an idea about the ISF feature, it's been there since day 1 for Blackstar. It really separates us from a lot of brands. But if you can imagine your EQ, your tone stack, your bass, your middle, your treble, when you buy an amplifier, it reacts the same way. It's the voice of the amplifier. What ISF allows you to do is alter the voice to suit your ears. The sound in your head is Blackstar's ethos, giving the guitarist the best tools for the job and as many tools as possible without being too complicated. So if you can imagine your frequencies react a certain way when the component values are stuck, ISF lets you scope that, and it will react differently in this position than it will in this position. So what some people do is change their EQ and move ISF around, which is fine, and they don't touch that again. But what's happening is those three frequencies are changing. So it really opens up so much tonal possibility. I'm going to start with the ISF on more of the sort of the UK side, which is all the way clockwise, or just thereabouts. And it gives you a much more sort of open mid-tone, a bit more of a saggier low end with less treble. All the way to the US side, you're talking about much more of a tighter focus mid, a tighter low end and accented trebles essentially. But it doesn't have to be hard left or hard right. It can be
float between everything.
Anywhere in between that will suit you and suit the room maybe. So here's OD1. Roughly about 2 o'clock there, but if we bring it back, we can tick the box of the blues guy, you know. So there's a lot of, again, just with single coil and humbucker options there. We give it a bit more bite on the gain stage to around about 2 or 3 o'clock. We can jump to that sort of 80s, high gain, 90s period, you know. But here's OD2, or OD1 voicing 2. It will say OD2 on the FS14 because we do a 3-channel 60-watt version, and a 100-watt head with 3 channels. But in this case, we've just got the clean and overdrive, so that OD2 switch there will give us our secondary voicing. This is sort of the game changer for me. The OD1 voicing for me is a lot more dynamic. When you notice when I rolled my volume back, it still gave me a lot of expression. It just feels really different under your fingers if you're used to Mark 1. OD2, we've gone for that definitely more high gain sizzle for the metal guy. I'm not really the metal player, but I'll try and give you that impression. Touching any gain stage adjustment there.
You can really hear the harmonics kind of push out a little bit more on
absolutely,
the second channel. For sure.
So that's what's going on with those voicings. Now, we did discuss ISF earlier, but if by any chance you could move the ISF around as I'm playing,
absolutely,
just to give people the impression that we're not touching the EQ right now, just the infinite shape feature pattern. And you can hear how much it adjusts as I'm riffing. So at the moment we're starting all the way clockwise, which is more like the British tone, so if that's cool. can, I don't know if that's going to translate through to the camera, but physically you can really feel that change. Then we have on the FS14 a 6 dB power amp boost, which is important to know. That isn't anywhere on the product unless you have the FS14 optional pedal. The two-way which comes supplied has a channel and voicing switch. Okay, but here we've got loads more options going on. We've got switchable reverb on and off, and the boost. Now, a lot of people see boost and they're immediately used to a 20 decibel gain increase, which doesn't really lift you out the mix, right? But what we've done here is a power amp lift, 6 dB. So if you're using clean and you introduce the boost, it's going to give you more headroom but not more gain.
Perfect.
So just as an example, because a lot of people see boost, they think lead guitar player, right? But if I'm playing sort of a funk lick on a single coil tone, if you wouldn't mind pressing boost as I'm doing that, then you can really hopefully feel the 6 dB lift. So if you play,
nice.
maybe if you're a guitarist that's playing with a brass section, you want to step out the mix if you're doing a lick. It's really cool.
Really
yeah,
handy, absolutely.
And again, if you're a lead guitar player, if we go to OD1, and again maybe a bucker. Really lifts you out the mix. It's cool. The reverb is a new DSP design from Blackstar. It's a digital reverb with two choices. On the rear panel, there is a little dip switch that will let you go between dark and bright, basically. So dark is more of a room reverb, light is more of a shimmering plate reverb. So just to give you that example as well, to suit the player, if I put the reverb about 50% and go to a clean tone, that's our room reverb. Much shorter decay. If I reach behind, there's our long plate, you know. Just to suit the player.
That's nice.
We've also added USB for home recording. You can stick the amplifier into standby so the internal speaker is muted, but you can plug a USB cable straight into your DAW and record direct, silently.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
It gives you stereo, wet and completely dry for reamping. We've added headphone output, we've added XLR balanced output with cab sim. There's obviously an effects loop and options to connect to external speakers. So we've really thrown everything at this product. We're super proud of it, and we feel it sounds like one of the best tube amps for the money on the market right now.
Absolutely. Well, it makes sense why it has the Mark II label. I mean, it deserves the title of having a second generation, because it's taken a lot of feedback from the players, as I understand it, and really thrown it, into this amp to create the ultimate live unit for sure.
To give people a little bit of spec, we've got 12X7s in the pre, EL34s in the parent, and a Celestion loaded cab.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
So yeah, thanks for watching, and make sure you get to the arts to check out the HT Venue Mark II.